DB Breweries, who own Tui, announced their return, and they've got a couple up, and one of them is about the, and I called him Brad, so I'm sorry about that. It's Phil Polkinghorne, Auckland eye surgeon who was found not guilty of murdering his wife, Pauline Hanna. The trial, well televised, ran for 8 weeks, I do believe, and a new digital billboard read, "Back to being a respectable meth-smoking, sex worker-loving doctor then." Yeah, right. Now, the marketing director, Fraser Shrimpton, says the revival is in response to making beer brand marketing fun again, stepping away from the recent do-it-by-the-book approach and walking the precarious line of cancel culture to bring Kiwis a good laugh. So that's why they say they're doing it. Is it going to work? Let's find out. Bodo thinks of it. Bodo Lang joins me. He's a marketing and advertising expert, and he's a friend of the show. Good to talk again, Bodo.
Hi, Leah. How are you?
I am good. Now, where are you? Can hear little birdies in the background.
I'm outside, just spending the afternoon outside, which is very pleasant, but luckily not next to one of these billboards.
Sounds lovely. Not next to one of these billboards. So am I right in saying then you're not a fan of this particular billboard, Bodo?
Yeah, I think that would be a fair summary. Look, I think the Year Right campaign has been really, really successful over the years. I think it was very clever, it was very relevant, and people could identify with the messages, and it was really a sort of a groundbreaker in terms of, having a new version every other week, but only replacing part of the billboard. So it was a very cost-effective solution of staying on top of things. But this latest particular implementation, I think about the trial and the eye surgeon, I think it just fails the test. And the test really is, is it funny and is it mean and is there anything clever about it? And I think it's not funny, it is mean, and it's not particularly clever. So I think it's not going to sell many Tui beer bottles, but I think what it does do is it gets people talking about the brand. And that is also part of what advertising does. And so it does a fantastic job of doing that.
Well, actually, that was my next question, and I think maybe we were saying too it was in bad taste, when you're talking about a victim, a woman who has died, and some would say also maybe for all female victims of crime in general, for this particular one that they've done. And as you said, you don't think they're selling beers. It's not about selling beer. Is it solely just to get headlines because we're talking about them?
Yeah, I think I just want to reflect on the first part of your statement. I totally agree. I think this is a super sensitive context. Somebody's lost their life. It was a big trial. The jury decided, that he's not guilty, and that's what it is. But it's tragic, absolutely tragic. And I think, brands need to know better. But I think what this is about getting the brand out there and getting what we call in marketing top of mind awareness, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a person that doesn't know about this billboard or hasn't heard of the brand. And so they've certainly achieved that mission. Whether the brand has become more likable is the second question, I guess.
Yeah. Is it unusual to resurrect a past advertising strategy? I mean, they went for 16 years. It's been nearly a decade. Don't most brands try and come up with a brand new angle? So where these guys are basically doing the same old thing, will it work?
Yes, I think it's very unusual that a brand goes back to an execution or an implementation of an ad that you already know, that you're well familiar with. It's very, very unusual to do that. Brands always move forward, and this does feel like a step backwards because they knew it worked so well. But at the point when they pulled the pin some decades ago, it had done its time, and so it is very unusual. And I don't know if this is going to work because, this particular billboard obviously got people talking about it, but I think it also gets people thinking, well, is this still relevant? Is this still New Zealand 2024?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, some of them I've had a chuckle at, and they have said they're doing this because they want to push the boundaries and almost have a go at cancel culture. So I suppose we'll just have to see in time whether they've hit the same mark as they did all those years ago.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting comment. I think to me it's maybe an expression of where society is at. We've got politicians, not so much in New Zealand, but certainly overseas, and you can all think of who I'm thinking of. But, we've got people, wealthy billionaires, that make all sorts of outlandish statements, and they land with a proportion of the population because they feel alienated and they feel that things have gone too far one way. There's too much cancel culture and wokeness. And I would nearly wonder whether even here in pretty protected and pretty liberal and pretty civilized New Zealand, whether this is sort of an expression of that, to say, look, there is that segment of the market, and we want to speak to them, and this is how we're doing it. And so to me, it's almost an expression of where society has moved to.
Yeah. Always interesting, Bodo. And it sounds like you're in a wonderful part of the country with those birds in the background. But have yourself a lovely evening. And it's always good to talk. That is Bodo Lang there, Professor of Marketing Analytics and a Marketing and Advertising expert. So what do you guys make of it?